It's Honeysuckle and Rachel Blackmore racing's golden duo.
Tiger Roll joins the greats and beats Magic of Light.
Best behaviour on the near side with the wettest of saves for Barry Brown and Oliver McKiernan. Local trainer Dermot McLoughlin again in the honest test. Lord Lariat wins it from...
It's Sam Crow on the stand side before he had the second round. Before he lands in the lead by half a length and goes on from Sam Crow.
Hello and welcome to the latest episode of We're Going Chasing. I suppose, Cillian, we've had a real lull in the racing calendar the last couple of weeks since Cheltenham. There hasn't been a whole pile on this side of the water anyway, and not a whole pile on over in the UK, but we've a lot to look forward to now.
Yeah, there's a bit of a lull in the jumps racing, all right, between Cheltenham and Fairyhouse or Aintree, whichever one comes first every year, I suppose. So yeah, there's the flat is back, all right, but we don't talk about that here.
No.
So yeah, that's really all that's been going on in racing. There hasn't been any big jumps meetings or anything. So we're delighted Fairyhouse has come around anyway. It's always a great time of the year and it's a great weekend. Yeah.
I suppose the biggest talking point the last couple of weeks has been the student race days. They were always a huge occasion, I suppose, back when we were in college. Everybody looked forward to it. You had 10,000 people down there at Limerick. You had 10,000 at Leopardstown during the week. I don't know what the figure was at Cork, but you would have had a great number at Cork there as well. And only last night, UCC, the student union down in UCC, came out and said that they're no longer promoting student race days within the college because of animal rights and what, I presume, is it, Cillian?
Yeah, as a man, a good friend of the podcast, John Hennessy, said on Twitter, the lunatics have taken over the asylum. Like ridiculous stuff. The worst part is these people have never been to a race meeting. They don't know what it's about. They don't know the love, passion people have for horse racing in Ireland. And they just it's the same thing with no matter what they don't like, they'll say, we're going to try and suck the fun out of this then.
Yeah.
And they've succeeded here, and hopefully I'd like to see the Cork sort of student race day go the same way the Dublin one has gone. I think Spin 108 sort of have taken that over and they run it themselves, as opposed to the college. Like, I suppose you've 4, 5, 6 big colleges in Dublin, hard for all one student union to organize it. So hopefully someone outside takes it over and keeps it running, because like you talk about, there's a lot of negativity around it too, but it's very positive. Like, you've 10,000 people down Limerick. I'm sure 80-90% are just there for the day out, but if you can get couple of hundred people into racing out of that, it's a win. So they cheer home horses in 85 to 100 handicaps, like, so it's unbelievable, really. Like,
it is the atmosphere around there. You'd hear it on the television and that, but like I'd be fearful too that it won't be the last student union that will come out with a stance like this. It's the inflated sense of self-importance that these people have at times is unreal. Like, those in the student union in Cork, like, they aren't speaking on behalf of the students there. The students, the vast majority of students there went, enjoyed the day, had a great day out, and will go again. Like, these people do what suits them and what suits their agenda. Yeah. And if that ties in with what the student population wants, well, then that's all well and good. It's a little bonus. But ultimately, they're doing what suits them.
I suppose I went to college in Galway, and like the students union distanced themselves from Ragwick there. It still went ahead. So these people, they're generally people that aren't, they haven't too many friends, I'd like to say. Like,
but Cillian, they're not the kind of people, by and large, you sit down and have a pint with. They've graduated from college. Stop trying to push your ideologies on others. You've graduated from college, get out, get a real job, and leave the students get on with student life. That's the way I'd say it. Leftist activists.
The real job is the issue there. A lot of them doing make-believe courses too and stuff. So look, I won't say too much more about them, but they're a shower of cunts. I really disagree with it.
But Cillian, like, what you're up against here is these kind of people would be against guide dogs. Like that's the bottom line. You know, they're against guide dogs. You know, and like when that just puts it into perspective what you're dealing with. You know, but look, we'll I saw him outside the Thurles Greyhound stadium before, with placards and that. They were in the local media. And again, no to guide dogs. You know, absolute nutcases. Anyway, look, we'll move on. We'll move on.
You want to give them airtime?
Fairyhouse, because we've got a cracking weekend's racing ahead of us. We start on Saturday. It all leads to Monday evening, 5:00. You know, one of the biggest days in the Irish racing calendar. But starting on Saturday, briefly in the Hunter's Chase, Ferns Lough, only a 6-year-old skipped Cheltenham for this. He should take all the beating here, shouldn't he?
He will, yeah. He'll take every bit of the beating. Look, Billaway is a very good horse. He obviously fell in Cheltenham. Has 20 lengths to make up with Ferns Lough from Thurles, so it's a tough enough task there. Animix, another limited horse in Hunter's Chase, and really is going to struggle to get near him. I'd say you can have what you want in Ferns Lough here. He really gets stuck into him. I'd say it's a good start to the weekend there.
Yeah. You know, he's a horse I'm looking forward to seeing. And it's quite a small field too. Moving on then, the Mayor's Novices Chase, Allegor de Vassy is 11-4 on there. I see Limerick Lace 9-2. Limerick Lace the most likely to chase her home. Does she have any chance of beating her?
I think Limerick Lace is a good horse. She's rated what?
142.
142, so £9 below Allegor de Vassy, and she's getting 8. So, like in theory, it makes up for a really good sort of match there between those two, but it's hard to see past Allegor de Vassy. To be honest, I think she should be she should probably be in the grade 1 for the novices, that Novice Gold Cup. Really, like, in fairness, she's bumped into a very good horse in Impervious over in Cheltenham. The two of them have gone hammer and tongs there. They finished 5 lengths clear of the third horse, another 5 back to 4th. They've thumped them, really. It's the two of those should be taking on the Geldons. Allegor de Vassy shouldn't be reverting back down to listed mares company here. No. Well, at the same time, I think that if Willie thought that she'd go and win it, she'd beat her. You know, I think that's the way I'd look on it. It's a reflection of Willie's thoughts about the mare. Then again, if Willie didn't send her here, I'm not sure what he'd have to send here. So that's the other side of it. Again, looking forward to seeing it. And again, it's just all warming up early. You know, for the bigger events later on in the day and later on over the weekend. The next, I suppose, big race to look at is a Grade B handicap hurdle over 3 miles, 4:30 on Saturday. Was there any here that stood out to you? Yeah, there was actually a good few that I've sort of in a tracker there, which isn't great. But the first one is Harry De Zongre for Henry De Bromhead. He's a 6-year-old. He's been behind Favori de Champtou the last twice. He's off since Christmas. He ran in the Grade 2 novice hurdle down in Limerick on bottomless ground really over Christmas. He was beaten 7 lengths by Favori de Champtou. He's a £7 swing at the weights, but Corey McGivern is riding Favori de Champtou, so that sort of cancels it out there. But I'd expect Harry De Zongre to sort of take a step forward from Limerick. I think he's potentially better than a 130 horse. He was very good when he won his maiden in Wexford. And ran a good race then behind Favori de Champtou as well in Thurles. He's beaten 3 lengths that day. Look, he's only 6, so there's a chance he'll improve a bit as well. So I think 130 might be sort of underestimating him, but I think the most likely winner looks to be Hardy Bloke for Emmett Mullins. He won a rated novice hurdle down in Wexford there last week. Beat Jumping Jet 10 lengths, absolutely hosed up, can't jump a hurdle, which is a big problem you'd think, but just a massive engine. He won off effectively 114 that day with a £7 claimer. He's 123 now, so he's £9 up. That same claimer's riding him. I think that 123 would underestimate him. I picked him out after he ran the Dublin Racing Festival in the Grade B over 3 miles. He was 3rd that day. He got a very handy ride. Like he was hands and heels all the way from the back of the last. He's beaten 6 lengths that day. I think there's a good bit of improvement in him. So he'd probably be the one I'd go with there.
Okay, very good. There's two, I suppose, that are standing out for me at the moment. The first is probably the one that I fancy the most out of the two, Western Walk for Jonathan Sweeney. Michael O'Sullivan takes the ride. The horse was with Gavin Cromwell and had one run for his new trainer after 277 days off. Won a maiden hurdle over 2 miles 6 furlongs, showed nice improved form that day. Takes another small step up in trip here, up to 3 miles. Michael O'Sullivan is still on board after being on board the last day. And I just think that he could definitely have a bit more improvement in him. He was reasonably well backed that day as well. And, I think he's just very unexposed on a second run for a new trainer. After winning on his first, he's definitely one that's standing off the page to me with a top-class jockey on board. The second is Landrake. He's been running very consistently throughout the year. Was very good at Navan the last day. I really liked how Henry's horse, Senior Chief, passed him after the last, but he really battled on the inside. Landrake did, and it looked for a couple of strides that he was actually going to get back up. He really battled on very well. That was over 2 miles 6 on heavy ground, so he'll have no bother seeing out the trip on the step up in trip. So the two of them, Danny Gilligan rides Landrake now, so I'm not sure where that falls in terms of Gordon's jockeys at the moment. It's hard to know what the pecking order is there, but it's the two of them that my eye will be drawn to. Moving on then, after that, after our 3 mile grade B handicap, we go down to a 2 mile grade A handicap. Cillian?
Yeah, it's a tricky enough one to solve. I was looking through it a good bit there today. It's hard to look past Jazzy Matty in a way. Look, he's off 10 stone 7 there. Won the Boodles in Cheltenham, and Mike O'Sullivan takes off 5, so he's a very light racing weight there, 10 stone 2. So, like, looking at sort of Boodles winners there the last couple of years, they're in and out. Like, Jeff Kidder did improve a bit after he won the Boodles to sort of step up in class, and he won a grade 3 in Fairyhouse. So he was sort of the one that takes your eye out straight away. The other one I was looking at, I can't pronounce it. It's Willie's horse for Rich Ritchie. I think he's been second in all 3 starts and maiden hurdles. Got a rating of 128. It might be a small bit on the high side for what he's achieved, but you'd imagine going into handicap company, he can improve a bit. I think he's a pretty good jumper. From what I've seen from the sort of last twice, he jumped okay, especially the last day. But the run with Firm Footings up in Navan, I think was a pretty good run. That Firm Footings was 6th in the Martin Pipe, so he's obviously a very good horse. So I think maybe he might be one that might just step up when he goes into handicaps. Danny's on him. Could be seeing him from the front maybe.
Okay. I had a nice look at it this afternoon, and you could kill me now for this one. It's another one of Willie's, and it's not the Rich Ritchie one. It's the Simon Munier and Isaac Swade tax for Max.
Stop.
Look, the horse is a complete monkey, and he hasn't settled in nearly any race at all whatsoever. He stepped up to 2.5 miles, 2 mile 5 at Cheltenham in the Cork Cup, which seemed a bizarre move. And he was bet 43 lengths and pulled the arms off Danny Mullins the whole way around until he was asked a question to go. And then he had wasted too much energy to go. But I think the interesting run is if you go back one run before that in Leopardstown at the Dublin Racing Festival, he's only beaten 7 lengths there by Gaelic Warrior. That form is quite nice. Obviously, Gaelic Warriors come out, run very well in Ballymore. Ballyadam ran well at Cheltenham as well. Hey Johnny, I think, has come out and franked the form a small bit too. The other side of it is, and actually when I was looking at the jockey bookings, I was hoping that the Paul wouldn't be on him just for a price point of view. Now, Paul Townend has chosen to ride him, but when you look, Paul has rode him 5 times. The horse only won twice. Both times Paul was riding. The other 3 times Paul was riding, he finished 2nd twice and 4th once. So there's a possibility there he gets on quite well with such a monkey of a horse. If anybody can get on well with him, maybe Paul is able to get some sort of a tune out of him. But he's one that you'd be hoping you'd get some sort of a price on. Probably not as much now with Paul on board, but look, that's where I'd be looking at.
You'll get a price on him, all right, yeah. You will, yeah.
You should do, shouldn't you?
Oh, you will, yeah. He's atrocious, yeah.
Would he get 14-1?
Yeah, probably.
Would he get bigger?
I'd say so.
Okay.
I'd lay bigger.
Okay, if you fancy, get on to Cillian.
You can DM me, yeah.
Would you do it each way?
No, we don't.
Okay.
But you probably want 6 places as well, do you?
No, not at all. Just inquiring as well.
No problem.
On to Sunday. The Mayor's Novice Hurdle. Grade 1. Our first Grade 1 of the weekend. Quite a few horses there that were running at Cheltenham are here. You wouldn't be sure about how they might fare after such a tough race not that long ago. I can probably guess, Cillian, you're on Magical Zoo, are you?
Yeah, if I'd like to see Rachel ride her. I don't think it'll happen, but I think if Rachel rides her, I think she'll win. I think Adrian Heskin didn't cover himself in glory in the Mayor's Hurdle and the Mayor's Novice there in Cheltenham. The step up and triple be no bother. Just the way she races, she's held up like so. I think she's a right chance. She clocked a very good rating as well, 138 in the Mayor's Novice. Look, Astro Diamond is the danger really. Like she's a pretty good horse. She was third in two Grade 1s against the Geldons. Skipped Cheltenham, so she's coming here a fresh horse. So she's probably the danger. And then Gordon's horse as well for Kenny Alexander, who'd love to win the race, named after Honeysuckle as well. She was probably better than what her finishing position showed in Cheltenham as well. I don't think the ride she got was too fantastic either. So I think I'd probably, you want to take on the favourite anyway. I think Magical Zoe will win though, yeah. Okay. And hopefully Rachel rides. Okay,
you're right. I'd be veering away from those who ran at Cheltenham, to be honest. It's not that long ago, about 3 weeks or so. And I think that there's good alternatives there. First of all, in the favourite, Ashrow Diamond. She won obviously at Fairyhouse as well, so she's got that course form. She beat Jatara by about a length or 2 lengths, with your Gordon horse Halka de Tabret back in third. So that's the obvious one, I suppose. One less obvious one that I do like is Night and Day. You can get 6-1 on Night and Day. Now she's had 2 runs for Willie Mullins. Last year he threw her straight into this race, which is very unlike him. First start for him in a Grade 1. Now she was beaten almost 100 lengths that day, but the sheer fact that Willie thought enough of her to put her in the race speaks volumes to me. She was off then for close to 300 days until she ran at Clonmel in January. She was 5-2 on that day. There was very little in the field, but she won by about 20-25 lengths, as easy as you like. She was very professional in everything she did, and she got quite a handsome race and post rating that day. She'll be coming very fresh. I'd imagine she has a fair amount of class about her. So at the prices, I'd probably go with Night and Day. It'll be interesting on jockey bookings and whatnot. Darryl will probably be riding Willie, Cillian.
I'd imagine so, yeah.
Interesting that Darryl isn't riding Tex for Max, actually. The day before that.
Is he over on Saturday?
I'm not sure. But still, why wouldn't he? What else is he? Is there racing? I don't know what's on in England.
He's probably racing in England, like it's a Saturday.
Possibly, yeah. He might have something better over there. But look, Night and Day is one at a nice price, 6-1, against possibly some quite tired horses there who have ran at Cheltenham. Yeah. Moving on from that, then we've got the Grade 2, 2.5 mile Paddy Keogh Novices Hurdle. It's hard to know without seeing declarations, Cillian.
It is hard to know. It's interesting that the Nemean line for Kerry Lee has been entered in it. I think he's a good horse. He'd ran last time out in Kelso, I think, wasn't it? Yeah, Kelso. He won in Kelso the week before Cheltenham, and prior to that he'd been He'd been third to Tamaras in Sandown. I don't think the sort of ground is going to inconvenience him too much. I think he could be dangerous enough. Look, you have Dawn Rising, but the one I sort of like is for Henry De Bromhead as well. I sort of like Deep Cave.
Okay.
He was fifth at the Dublin Racing Festival behind Goodland, Absolute Notions, that 2 mile 6 race. I don't know, like, was the form boosted that much in Cheltenham? I suppose Goodland probably didn't run his race. Sandra Clegane ran very well in the Bartlett, and cool Survivor was down the field then in the Martin Pipe. But I think he ran well that day, and going back a couple of furlongs in trip, I think it should suit him. And I don't think that he's inconvenienced by the ground either. So, like, he's only a 5-year-old. He's rated 135. Looking at the horses here that have ratings, they're all sort of in around that sort of level, bar High Definition, Dr. Bravo, but they're both coming off pretty poor runs. I'd be surprised to see High Definition go up in trip as well. I think he's probably a 2 miler, and they might keep him for better ground in Punchestown. So I'd fancy sort of Deep Cave. I don't know, is he going to be declared or not, but
yeah. Okay. To me, again, it's very difficult. Without declarations. The one who I would be giving a sweet to would be for the Donnellys there, and Willie Mullins. Parmenion is the name of the horse. Was only 5 lengths behind High Definition in the maiden hurdle at Leopardstown, and then bumped into Found a 50 at Fairyhouse, before eventually shedding the maiden tag back at Leopardstown there in early March. I think he could have a bit of class. I don't really like a lot of the others in the race. Like, if High Definition or Dr. Bravo turn up, I'd be against them. Dawn Rising, again, I don't know what his plans are, but he was pulled up late on. The Albert Bartlett had a very tough race. There's a lot of horses here at Fairyhouse over the weekend who are coming off the back of a tough race, and I'd be trying to side against them. And I just think that a horse maybe like Parmenion could have a bit of class about him. And again, just wait for jockey bookings and that. But that's what I'd be liking at this stage. Okay, Cillian, moving on from that then, the 345 on the card. Just after speaking about Found a 50, he's entered in here. And should he turn up, he should take all the beating, should he?
Yeah, I don't know about that. Like, he's got beaten by a 3 miler over 2 miles. At the end of the day, like, so. Yeah. Like, I don't know what I'd be too really gone on him. Like, now he hammered Parmenion in Fairyhouse, and it was a fair performance, and maybe going back around this way, the change of direction, right-handed instead of left-handed. Maybe that might help him a bit. He jumped a small bit out to his right in Nace. So I think I don't know, I'd probably want to take him on. I like Arctic Brezel. I know you do, yeah. Atrocious run to put behind, but like, he was so good down in Cork. I thought it was a very taken performance. I know Mercury hasn't come out since. I mean, so like, it's hard to know where that form is franked, but Franciscan Rock from Mouse Morris won a maiden hurdle. He beat Sir Argus. There was a lot of talk about, so he's beaten him and came out in the handicap off a very low mark and got beaten 121. But I do like Arctic Brezel. I think he's a very good horse, and he's been off now since the start of January from the Tolworth, so he's every chance now coming back. And I think the ground will suit him too. But another one there down a bit, Nucky Johnson won there for Noel Mead last week as well up in Nace. I thought he was very good that day in a rated novice hurdle. I think he might step forward again. Like, he'd form sort of tying in with 3-card Bragg there. Now, he was well beaten by him in Galway, and like, he's only half a length behind Sandra Clegane that day. Like, they're good horses. They're Green Glory is back and forth. So that was a very strong maiden, I thought. I think maybe he's taken a while to just warm up, but I think, like a lot of Noel Mead's horses, they run better in the spring as well.
Okay. Yeah, I'd echo your sentiments there on Arctic Brezel. I thought that first day it was a very taken performance at Sandown. It was surely too bad to be true. He never looked happy there whatsoever. So look, and you could get a nice price on him. But for win purposes, I'd definitely be going with Found a 50. Moving on from that then. We have the Boys Sports Novices Handicap Chase. Dino Blue is one that's going to attract a lot of attention in here after finishing second there at Cheltenham. A great run, and probably just bumped into one who was quite well handicapped there.
Yeah, she'll win this all right. Like she could absolutely hose up here. She ran in Cheltenham off 140. She's kept at that. She'll bet 6 lengths by Mascada, but she absolutely made a hames of the last. Like Luke Dempsey was very lucky to stay on that day. So like she's going to take all the beating here. Now the only thing is, like, she's the mare 11 stone 12. It's a good bit to carry there against. There's some unexposed horses in it, like Elargi Debut there. I think he's obviously finds it hard to finish out his races, but like he will be probably on the bridle coming to 2 out, like. And it's just a question then of like, can they keep him on it as long as possible? Like, I think Spring Ground as well mightn't do him any harm either. I know he'd a couple of poor performances up in sort of Fairyhouse and Punchestown last year, but like he's been off now 2 months. So I think he's a chance there coming a bit fresher. 137 might be. He might have a bit of scope there to improve past that, but yeah, it's hard to look past Dino Blue all the same.
Yeah, it is. She does look quite solid. One that I'd be just keeping an eye out on is Pat's Choice as well, right down towards the bottom of the weights. I just think that he's been running well recently. One run in a handicap hurdle, he was second there at Navan. And I'd just like to see him do something different with him. If he got first-time cheek pieces there, or he's been wearing blinkers the last few runs, and blinkers, when they were introduced, they sort of seem to make a difference to his level of performance. And if I just saw something different there from him, that could maybe eke out a small bit more improvement, possibly at a price, that would be one that would pique my interest. One of the biggest races then of the weekend is the Grade 1 Gold Cup for novices, we'll say. Hard to know, hard to see El Fabiolo or the likes going anyway. You could probably knock off El Fabiolo, Allegor, Devassi. Is Mighty Potter going to go? I'm not sure what their plans are.
Yeah.
Banbridge, Sir Gerhard, I have no interest in Sir Gerhard, nor would I in James de Burleigh. I don't know, out of all them, again, it's tough at this stage, isn't it?
It is, yeah. Like, if El Fabiolo runs, he'll win. But I don't know, is he going to run here? Like,
I couldn't see him running.
Banbridge is going to entry. Joseph said so. That's him there. I don't know. Flame Bearer is a horse that sort of he won well in the Grade 3 last time.
Yeah,
like potentially you could say maybe he's a spring horse. His best runs all came sort of in those graded races in February onwards last year, and I know he's beaten by Indiana Jones in the Flying Bolt in Navan, but maybe he's just coming into himself now. I don't know, but I like Journey With Me. I think he's some fairly rock solid form there. Rated 151. He'd probably want to improve a bit to win this, especially if you have a Sir Gerhard or a Mighty Potter in it. But like, even if Mighty Potter turns up,
don't worry about Sir Gerhard.
Sir Gerhard coming back down and trip you.
I don't care.
Like, he look at him there in Cheltenham. Don't say he wasn't travelling, turning in, and he looked a real danger, and he just emptied on the ground and emptied on the trip, I'd say. Him coming back to 2.5 miles, he'd have a right chance. But again, I don't know would I fancy him that much, but he is a very good horse. And he was bang there turning in and just didn't go for me. Probably didn't see out the trip, and the ground was a bit sticky for him. But yeah, I sort of like Journey With Me. I think he could run a big race. Like, looking at sort of the ratings of the other horses outside of El Fabiolo and Mighty Potter, he's ahead of the rest of them, bar Banbridge, who isn't going. So like, Allegor Devassi is not going to be there. So I don't know, he could have a right chance there in this race. Especially like the ground shouldn't be any problem to him on soft either. So no. Like, hopefully it's a bit of a strong stamina test, and he can sort of he'd have the stamina that maybe some of the other sort of 2.5 milers mightn't have. Yeah, and sort of my team, I think so far during this has been sort of avoiding horses who have had tough runs at Cheltenham. And Sir Gerhard, I think, had a wicked race. I couldn't have him at all. I'd like to see him turn up here. It'll give you more value elsewhere.
I'd be very surprised if he won. Very surprised if El Fabiola turned up. If Mikey Potter turned up, he'd probably win, to be honest.
Hard to back him though. I know maybe he just doesn't travel, but fuck me,
he doesn't travel. He didn't put a foot wrong before that.
He was a real bastard over there though.
He was, but he didn't put a foot wrong before that. His form last year in Ireland was very solid. Didn't go at Cheltenham.
Yeah, it's a bit soon though, I think maybe for him. He got Davy absolutely battered him up and down up the running, like, so like it'd be hard to touch him now, to be honest.
Maybe, but of the fresh ones, yeah, Journey with Me is there, Flame Bearer is there. I'd probably side with Flame Bearer, one that you've been talking about, an awful lot this year. But that's where I'd be siding with. Again, I'll probably be doing. We've got a little website there. You'll see it in our bio. I'll be doing a little write up on some of the races, and that once we have the declarations with my thoughts on it, and Cillian will probably have his selections there on Twitter as well. So I suppose these are just our initial thoughts. Moving on to Monday, the main day of the 3-day meeting. We start off there with a grade 2 juvenile hurdle race, Blood Destiny, another one probably hard to go near, but at the same time, if you were taking them on, I don't see any great alternatives.
No, you have to take them on.
What's the alternative?
I don't know. That's the problem.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, like I come back to sort of Cougar. I think he's like, he went off 6-1 in the grade 2 at Christmas. He's off since Christmas. It hasn't. He's still a colt. I just wonder, is there anything? I was trying to find out. Did they geld him? I don't think they did. Judging by this, so maybe it doesn't come up until they're declared in something. But yeah, I wonder if they tried some headgear with him. Like, he was very free that day at Christmas. I just think he's coming a bit fresh there. He's a very good horse. He should act on the ground really. He ran on soft up north. So I think maybe if they could figure out how to maybe ride him, he could be a bit of a danger. But
yeah, I think
very hard to back Blood Destiny. Like, Gust of Wind was miles ahead of Blood Destiny. In Cheltenham, like he was fourth. He was well bet in 10 lengths.
Yeah,
but I know
Blood Destiny just emptied.
He did, yeah, but he wasn't given a hard race when he did empty, though. Is the only thing. So
no, he wasn't.
That is it. But I'd find it hard to touch him. I don't know. See what price Cougar is.
I couldn't have Cougar though. Like, I know if Blood Destiny could be a busted flush, but like even Cougar has £16 to make up on him there in official.
Oh, he does, yeah. But there's a lot to be said for if he was gelded. I can't seem to find it. It doesn't seem he was. But if he was gelded and they maybe headgear on him, I might chance him.
Yeah,
he'd be a price as well. Like,
he would. And it's the kind of race that could throw up something odd with such a watery favourite there as such. Assuming Blood Destiny will be the favourite and will be declared. Okay, Cillian, then straight into the grade 2 race. It's another one here. I feel like Zanny here is going to go off favourite, and he'll surely win, won't he?
Yeah, I don't know. I find it hard to find something to beat him. Like, couldn't back Monkfish off the track 2 years. Like, he was a very good hurdler, but he was a hurdler at 3 miles.
Yeah.
People forget Monkfish was hammered at over 2.5 miles in the maiden hurdle. First time up for Willie over hurdles. Like, so his trip really was the staying trip there. So him back at 2.5 miles probably will need a run as well to get fully wound up. He's a very big horse. Asterion Furlonge, another real bastard. Like, he was well beaten by Somerville Boy, who's a limited enough horse now at this stage. He's 11, like, and he fairly hammered him the last day down in Thurles. So you couldn't back him either. But good time, Johnny. If it was a small bit further, like, he seemed to got outpaced in the stair or in the pertemps and just sort of stayed on. But I don't know. Maybe he could be.
No.
I don't know. Like, he comes in very good form, which can't be said for any of the rest of them, really.
Zanny here,
Zanny here, ran on in the champion hurdle, but every time Zanny here has stepped up and trip, really, he's struggled a bit. Like, he was well beaten in Navan seasonal reappearance, pulled up at Christmas. He fell behind Epatante when well held in Aintree last year as well. So like I don't know, he's going to be a short price, and I wouldn't like to back him at that. Maybe Good Time Johnny could improve again. I don't know. I just worry that over 2.5 miles he might be a bit too quick for him.
A lot of tricky races, isn't there?
There is, yeah. It's a fucking disaster.
Yeah, a lot of tricky races. I'd be surprised if Zanny Hero's bet. The only thing is though, Zanny Hero very rarely wins. You know, if you look back at his form there, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. He hasn't won in his last 9 starts.
Yeah.
Back October 2021 when he won, like, doesn't win much.
No, he doesn't. No.
You know, a lot of tricky races. We're almost at the Grand National, and that's the one I'm looking forward to talking about.
Yeah.
But we've one to talk about between now and then. The McInerney's Properties Fairyhouse Chase, a Grade 2 for open company chasers. You have a very nice field here. I suppose you're looking at Easy Game, Janadil, Shack and Poursois is finished surely.
Yeah.
You have you have 2 Rob Core entries here, French Dynamite and Magic Days, and Hot on Couleurs, who was very impressive 3 runs ago.
Yeah, it's a tough one too. Like Easy Game is obviously he's coming fresh, and he's a horse I don't like, but
I love him.
He's probably going to get the job done here. He's raced 161.
The only thing I have down the notes, if it's, and it could be soft, that'd be a worry. But he goes well fresh.
He does go well, very well fresh.
He goes very well fresh.
He's a real summer horse, yeah.
And he's probably the classiest there in the field.
But yeah, well, like, is his rating a small bit inflated because of sort of the races he's running in the summer? Like he's running in sort of good ground chases there, like Kimboy, like beaten the last twice, like, you know, like
he's very solid, and put him into any Grade 2 race there, and he's winning it.
He is, yeah. He's a very good Grade 2 horse, but I just worry that maybe the ground might catch him out, and is his rating a small bit inflated for the summer. But Janadil is had a stinker really in the Ryanair. He was hammered, so he's to bounce back. Royal Rendezvous was well beaten behind Fakir Dudery, and French Dynamite was well in front of him that day. He's rated 160. French Dynamite could run his race. Like he will run his race. He's very, very consistent. Like he got a racing post rating of 162 the last day, beating 5 lengths in the Ryanair, and probably like it jumped as well as he's ever had. It just maybe the Grade 1, just maybe he's just not at that level. But coming back into Grade 2, if that sort of exertions hasn't left too much of a mark, I think he'll be bang there.
Yeah. He will. You'd imagine he'd be thereabouts. I just can't see past Easy Game, to be honest, unless the ground gets very bad. He should be going winning this. Janadil is the other one. I did really like him going into Cheltenham. And he left me down. It's hard to trust him now too after that. But look, for me, Easy Game goes and wins. And then Cillian, that brings us on to the main race of the weekend, the Irish Grand National. Give me one horse and talk about it, and then I'll go at one, and then we'll flip-flop over and back. So take it away.
Yeah, it's a minefield really. Like
one horse.
Angel's Dawn.
Why?
I just like she was traveling so well when she came down in the national trial with the Cocoa Beach one. I thought that now she's up £7 for winning in Cheltenham, but thought it was a fairly good performance. The extra trip won't inconvenience her here either. I think she's a very strong stayer. Like no disrespect to PA King, whoever he is. I don't know him, sorry, but there'll be an actual jockey on board the next day. Like it will make a difference as well. Like in fairness, now I don't rate Barry O'Neill that highly, but Barry O'Neill versus PA King, I don't know. Like there's only one winner there, and he still couldn't get it to Stumptown past. She's a very good horse. She's going to get her ground as well. She likes it soft. I just think 138, and if Royal Pagaille stays in, I don't know, is he going to run? But he might, because the ground is soft. She'll be racing off 9 stone 10. Now I don't know who can do 9 stone 10 though. That's a really top jockey. So like there's a lot of them there that could be under pressure. Like there'll be jockeys there not eating all weekend, like to try and get down to the weight for the national. So in one way, you'd nearly hope Royal Pagaille comes out. And like the second in the weights is Who's second in the weights? Espinito Bello, it's £9. So everything comes up £9. Like, so you'd be 10 stone 5 on Angel's Dawn instead then. So like,
which is fair enough.
Yeah, it would be, yeah. So like I think even that race and weight would be pretty fine for her. So I go with her. She's short out 8-1.
Okay, yeah. The one thing I'd love now is Stumptown isn't going to get in, but if Stumptown got in,
I think he will get in.
Huh?
I'd say he will get in. He only needs 4 to come out.
Stumptown.
Yeah.
He needs a lot more than 4.
Is there not 32 in it?
No, 28.
Oh, he needs 8, so.
Yeah, he needs 8. So I couldn't see him getting in. Looking at the ratings there of the bottom rated horses in the last couple of years, they seem to be 136, 137, and he's only rated 133. So it's very hard to see him get in. But if he got in, he's absolutely thrown in. As far as I'm concerned, he'd be meeting Angel's Dawn on £9 better terms than when he would bet by less than a neck at Cheltenham, and he was really coming back at her too. Like, he was battling on very well. At the extra trip and that, I'd say he'd relish it. But look, I don't see him getting in. The one that I do like, and again, I don't want the ground to get too soft, is Busseltown. He's 25-1, and I just think that he's got or Bustleton even. What did I call
Bustleton?
Yeah. He's got a very attractive profile. The form of the Coral Gold Cup is rock solid. If you look at it, he finished 5th in that. First in it was Lemilas, was rated 146 that day. Now rated 152. Hasn't run 6. Is up 6. Hasn't run since. Is up £6. And is favourite, I think, for the Scottish National 9-2. Second that day, remastered, was rated 142. Won next time out, now rated 150. Third, hasn't run since. Fourth, Cork Rambler. We all know what he did at the Ultima. He was rated 147 that day in the Coral Cup. He won next time out. He's now rated 156. So you have 2 horses there ahead of him that won next time out. Lamilas, obviously, favourite for the Scottish National, and 6th that day. Bustleton was 5th. 6th was Ansam, was rated 137 that day. Again, another one who went and won next time out, now rated 142. I really like the look of him. Before that, he won the Kerry National. Prior to that, he was second in the Blazers at Galway. He's running well in big handicaps. He had a nice prep for this race at Navan last time out over 2 mile 4, which is far too short for him. On heavy ground too. He was well bet, but I wouldn't mind it. It was only to get a bit of fitness into the legs. But I do really like him at a very fair price.
Yeah, fair enough. They've made it.
Do you have another?
I do, yeah. And I sort of, in one way, I hope he doesn't win. But I am Maximus. I had a few quid him at 12s for the 4 miler, the 3 mile 6er there next year. But he's in here off 149. If you look back at the run in the RSA, he just doesn't stop. Like, he's potentially atrociously one-paced, but he just keeps on going, doesn't he? Like, his jumping probably does need to be brushed up a good bit. Like, if his jumping does improve, he'd have a really good chance. Like, he made a good few mistakes sort of when the race was heating up in the RSA, and I think that sort of cost him. But like, he's only beaten 10 lengths. He'd have been very close to Braun. I don't know what he'd been in front of him, but he'd been very close to Braun without those couple of mistakes. I just think this sort of, I don't know, the big field, it mightn't suit him jumping wise. He'd be jumping left, he'd be jumping right, but I don't know if they could get him into a rhythm at all. And I think Danny might ride him. Danny's rode him the last twice, so hopefully he gets the leg up again. Like, he's some very good bits of form. Like, even there in Leopardstown over 2 mile 5. Like, against Mighty Potter, he kept on going. He's only a length and a half behind Garda de Manil, who Willie seems to really fancy for the Aintree edition. Like, so I don't know. I just think, like, the further they go, there's going to be no problem to him. 3 mile 5 be well within his comfort zone, and in a sort of a race that'll be ran at this sort of tempo. So I think he's fair enough at 14-1, but in other ways, I hope he doesn't win.
I get what you're saying. He's another one that I had marked down. He was the next horse I was going to talk about.
Yeah.
Just the way he stayed on there in the RSA was very taken, I felt. And again, just that step up in trip. 14-1 is a very fair price. The other one they give a small squeak to is another one who needs the ground to get better, and is probably stay away from him, because if it's soft, which it probably will be, I'd completely rule him out. But Chemical Energy, that was a very good run at Cheltenham last time, only bet 2 lengths by Gaillard de Menil. Is well handicapped based off that, reasonably well handicapped anyway, and his ground wouldn't have suited. Sorry?
He's £1 well in. He's rated 148 now.
Thought it was a couple more than that, no?
That's what it says in front of me in the race on post.
Okay. But yeah, he's one, but the ground would need to be good, and it's not going to be good. Do you have any more there in the national? Are we happy enough to wrap it up?
I give a tip of the hat to Royal Thief at about 40s for Henry. He won in Punchestown on bottomless, and that amateur riders handicap Patrick gave him a serious ride that day. He's 9 stone 5. There, if he needs when the weights come up, then he's off a nice race and weight there at about 10 stone. So, he'd have a bit of a chance down the bottom, but he's number 35, so he needs a few to come out.
Okay, very good. Well, look, that's it from us. I hope you enjoyed listening to it. Let us know in the comments what you think. Be sure to like and share the video and whatnot there on Twitter. We very much appreciate it. As mentioned there during the podcast, Cillian will probably have his selections up there on Twitter, and I'll have mine up on the website, a few of them anyway, with a bit of a write-up. But yeah, that's all from us. Best of luck. Enjoy the weekend.
Best of luck, everyone. Thanks. Bye-bye. Where's the stop recording?
Vauban finds more now and kicks away and up the hill. Vauban wins the JCB Triumph Hurdle.
Round the home turn, Davy Russell decides to send presenting Percy on now. It's a beautiful straight, 11 victories for Honeysuckle. She is the winner of the Unibet Champion Hurdle.
Heaven help us, runs riot to win the Coral Cup.
Manila Indo is all out, flat out, but he wins the Gold Cup.